Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something that, well, let's be honest, a lot of adults find a bit tricky.
Yeah,
Mathematics.
tricky is a good word. Or maybe even uh, anxiety-inducing for some.
Totally, that feeling of disconnect. So if math brings up some, let's say, complicated feelings for you, this deep dive is definitely for you.
Right.
Yep.
Because we often think of math as just, rules, formulas, getting the right answer, very rigid.
But what if there's another way in? Especially for anyone who feels that sense of unease, that eije, as they say in Japanese, that feeling of maybe not being good at it or just disliking it.
Exactly. We've been looking at this really thoughtful online post from Salon Mathématique. It's called na, which sort of translates to cherishing that, oh, this feels kind of good feeling.
I love that title. So our mission today really is to explore this idea. Can appreciating math be less about nailing equations and more about, well, a feeling, a certain way of thinking?
A more accessible entry point, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. What's really interesting is how the author handles those, typical questions people ask math fans.
Oh, like got a favorite number.
Right. Or is there one equation you think is just beautiful?
And their answer is basically, no, not really.
Which is surprising, but apparently it's not that unusual for people who really get math on a deeper level.
It seems to shift the focus, doesn't it? Away from these individual bits and pieces towards something bigger.
Yeah, the author talks about their appreciation not being tied to one number or formula, but more the whole mathematical world and way of thinking.
And they use this wonderful analogy.
Oh, the sunset one.
Yeah, comparing that feeling they get from math to like the awe you feel seeing an amazing sunset or some incredible landscape.
It's that sense of wonder, beauty almost. And you might think, math, beautiful. But maybe you can relate to that feeling of awe in other parts of life.
I think so. It connects to how our brains appreciate order, patterns, logic. It's not just visual beauty, it can be logical beauty too. Math taps into that.
The author also shared some personal stories that kind of drive this home.
Like the teacher's proof.
Yes, in prep school, seeing a teacher's proof and just being struck by its elegance. And then later, a university professor whose teaching style was just really engaging.
And the key thing there is the feeling, right? It wasn't just about understanding the concept. It was these positive emotional hits that actually fueled their interest in learning.
Absolutely. Which brings us to you, listening. Have you ever, even for a second, had a moment where some explanation, maybe a pattern or a solution in math, just felt neat, satisfying?
That little spark of, ah, okay, that makes sense. Or even just, huh, that's kind of cool, that air-feely feeling.
The author really stresses how important it is to notice that feeling and actually, value it, nurture it.
Especially if you're maybe thinking about dipping your toes back into math as an adult. That feeling could be your way in, your motivator, rather than just forcing yourself through exercises.
It's pretty inspiring how the author's own enthusiasm just keeps going. They talk about getting excited, seeing math books.
Oh yeah, in Booksource. And the funny thought about wanting to be surrounded by them at the end of life.
It shows this really personal, deep connection. It's not just about whether math is useful, it's about enjoyment.
Which I think is a hurdle for many adults, right? Finding the time, making it seem relevant.
Sure, life is busy.
But if you shift the focus to finding that bit of joy, those
Yeah.
aha moments, maybe it feels less like a chore.
And more like, I don't know, exploring something interesting.
Exactly. This deep dive is really about suggesting that maybe feeling good about math, even in small ways, is the place to start.
So the main takeaway is finding your own sense of, let's call it goodness or beauty in how math works.
Yeah.
That could be a really powerful and maybe more sustainable way to learn.
Especially if you've had bad experiences before. School math can be tough for a lot of people.
Definitely.
So maybe a final thought for you to consider. Think back. Was there ever a time, however small, when a logical explanation or seeing a pattern click into place just felt right, satisfying? How could exploring that feeling, that little spark of be war, maybe lead you towards a more positive, maybe even fun relationship with mathematics?
It's a different angle, for sure. The author also used some hashtags worth mentioning. Hashtag #BaoinMath, hashtag Jando, what is richness, hashtag Meanro, things I like, and hashtag adult relearning.
Interesting things to reflect on there, too.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for exploring this different perspective on math with us today.